I heard this story recently of a missionary from Japan that went to China to preach to the underground church. And she was led by hand in the dark at night to this room. And they said, don't say anything until we tell you it's safe. So they brought her into this totally dark room and said, okay, you can speak now. So she quietly preached a message for 30 minutes, preached the gospel to a room that was completely dark. She didn't know who or how many were in there. And then when it was over, they opened the door slightly and she could start seeing the feet of those leaving the room. And she counted 400 feet, which means there was 200 people there, hungry and desperate to hear the gospel message. And I think, what if we came with that same hunger and passion and risk of everything, imprisonment or death, to hear God's word? We have access to God's word every single day. What if we came with that same hunger? You think of the disciples. They radically gave their life for the spreading of the gospel. They would not deny their faith in Jesus. And so they were martyred these horrific ways because they would not deny their faith in Jesus. You have to be so sure of who Jesus is to give your life in that way. James was beheaded in public. Peter was arrested and sentenced to crucifixion, and he did not think he was worthy to die the same death as Jesus, so they hung him upside down. Andrew, his brother, was also sentenced to being crucified. He also did not want to be crucified the same way as Jesus, and so they put him on an X-shaped cross, which prolonged his agony. It took him 2 days to finally pass, and he preached a message of the gospel the whole entire time. Philip was condemned to the cross. He hung upside down. Even in his last moments, he was still preaching a message. And it says that many were converted to Christianity, including some of his executioners. Bartholomew was sentenced to one of the most excruciating deaths, which was being flayed alive. Matthew was confronted by local pagans and ordered to renounce Christ. When he refused, he was run through with a sword. Thomas, because of Hindu priests, viewed him as a threat. They told him to stop preaching, and because he wouldn't, they attacked him and drove a spear through his body. James was ordered to deny Jesus before a crowd. He proclaimed Christ as Messiah instead, and so enraged, they threw him from the temple. He survived, but then they went after him and stoned him and beat him to death. Jude was captured and killed with clubs. Simon was sawn in half. Matthew was either stoned or beheaded. Either way, he died for his faith. John was the only one that didn't get martyred, but he was very much persecuted and sent to an island because he wouldn't stop sharing about Jesus. And that's when he had the revelation of Jesus Christ. And so we have access to the gospel. We should come hungry. We should preach Jesus no matter the cost, no matter what we face. We should be so bold for Jesus Christ.